Say hello. Say hello to mentorship.
What's up, mentorship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that our intro?
Oh, I thought you said you were introing, and then I was gonna go into telling the truth.
All right. Let's take it from the top. Or we just run it. What's up, guys? This is the first installment in the 12-month mentorship. This is the first course. Today we're talking about how to get more online coaching clients. Think this is funny?
No, it's good because it's perfect. It leads into the first thing we're gonna talk about, which is perfect.
Yeah. I think even before getting into the meat of it, this is probably, and tell me if you agree, because I don't think I brought this up to you, but this is the most vague of the other 11 topics.
Yeah.
Intentionally, because there's a lot we want to tell you up front. So this video might be 1.5 or 2 times as long as the upcoming videos. We'll see. We have a list of things that we absolutely want to hit on as far as getting more clients, but just know that it's a broader amount of information.
Yeah, that I agree, and I also think it's worth noting that a lot of people hear okay, well, how to get more clients, and in terms of getting more clients, one thing that I've noticed, I know Mike has too, we've spoken about it, is that there are periods of time where you'll get a ton of coaching client requests, and other times where you'll get a ton of drop off with actual clients, and there are periods of time throughout the year where there's just more interest and then less interest, and there are waves of more requests and then waves of less requests.
Across the board and just as individuals.
Exactly.
Sometimes there's more applications, sometimes 3 applications in a row become clients, and sometimes 20 applications in a row won't.
Exactly. And the reason we want to bring that up is because I remember when I first started, the coaching applications coming in were very sparse, very few and very far between, and that's where giving a lot more for free became so much more beneficial. And then as the gap between coaching applications became smaller, and I got more and more and more, and I was able to take more people on, that's when I was able to give away less coaching spots for free. Until then, there were none.
And start raising your prices a little bit more.
Exactly.
Doing some of the things we're going to talk about in this video.
And the thing that sort of really made me want to mention that right at the beginning was a lot of the people who started liking my content and following me at the beginning didn't become clients for a year or 2 years or 3 years. I'll get people sending me requests being I've followed you for 3 years and now it's time. And it's important because I think you're putting in so much work up front, so much time making your content, writing your captions, making your videos, writing articles, all this stuff, that within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 4 months, you're why aren't I getting so many? Why aren't I getting more clients? It's you have to keep going even if you're not getting the amount of requests that you want, because even if you're doing everything right, it's still going to take time.
When did you very first start putting out content?
2011, July of 2011.
And when was your, call it first, second, and third online coaching clients?
I started putting it out in July. I think I got people asking about it by October is when I really started getting people asking about it.
3 months.
Yeah, about 3 months. And then I can't remember exactly when I got my first few, but I know for a fact, probably the first 50 were all people who I either knew from high school or college, or were family or friends, or were roommates or within my college, the people who I knew personally. They were all people who I interacted with personally a lot. So, and a lot of them I took on for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what about you?
It takes that patience. Yeah, May of April of 2013 is when I launched my website, and I coach people for free in person and online, or deep discounted over the course of that summer, people I knew. But it wasn't until November that I had my first paying online coaching clients.
Right.
So over half a year.
Yeah.
Of making blog posts, and I think I was tweeting at the time, Facebook posts. But yeah, before anyone was paying, and that might not have been played optimally, but I was just thinking, make as much content as possible, increase attention to what I was doing, and how much can I help people. And then on the back end of that, clients come. And part of it, a lot of them come because by the time I have 25 posts on my website, like people have a lot of content that they can consume that they still consume. Like if they come across a YouTube video or Facebook or something, and we've talked about this, they'll go back and they'll read on our websites 3, 4, 5 years ago, and like that's where they'll get a lot of the value.
Exactly.
Before they
have enough trust to,
Yeah, it's building that trust.
I think, and we'll go in, because we have a bunch of notes, now we're just sort of like jamming, but you might have heard me say this before because I've said it a bunch, but I think I'm very lucky because when I first started my website and putting out content, I didn't know that an online business was a thing. I didn't realize that people would pay me for online coaching. That wasn't in my mind. It was all I wanted to do was put out content because I saw Eric Cressy doing it. I saw Mike Robertson doing it. I saw Dan John doing it. I saw all these people doing it, and I didn't know they had a business on the back end of it. I just saw they had these articles that I loved reading, and I wanted to do the same. If my intent was, I'm going to write this so I get a client, I would have failed. I would have stopped because the intent would have been, I'm going to write this amazing piece of content, spend a week writing it. No joke. It would take like 4 days, 6 days, 7 days to like write an entire article. And then if I didn't get any consultation requests, I'd be like, what the fuck is this for?
Why am I doing this?
Like I just spent a whole week and not one person. And that happened for months and months and months and months and months. Thank God that wasn't my intent, because if it was, I would have gotten demoralized.
I would also argue that your content would have been worse if that was what you were doing.
I agree, because there was never a call to action of like be a client in there, and like there was never any like sales tactics. It was just content. And if you look at my content now, it's the same. It's just content. And people ask about coaching. People ask because I've built up enough trust over time. So that's how I think is probably the best way to start this section off is understanding that content is always going to be king, and understanding that it very well might take you a really long time, and that's okay. And don't let what other people appear to be doing influence you or change from what you doing, that you know is right.
Yep.
So leading into the first thing, and it's going to get much more specific, and this is a theme that Mike and we really wanted to make sure we discuss as often as possible, because in the same way that sometimes your clients, they need to be reinforced and told like, hey, maybe they see the rapid fat loss, or they see the ketogenic diet, or they see the pills, and they need to be reinforced. Hey, calorie deficit, training consistently, just the basics. We want to reinforce that being honest and being yourself is infinitely more valuable to you and your audience than trying to put up a front, than trying to be someone that you're not, trying to like impress other people. And we see it in content all the time. People trying to,
Real quick. We're breaking this into logs and kindling.
Yeah.
So like telling the truth, being authentic, being yourself is the first log, we're going to call it. But like the logs, if you think of a fire, are things that you should be doing consistently, all of them or almost all of them, like forever, as long as you want to be doing this. Whereas the kindling are like quick, get clients faster. Like if you have more time, if you have fewer online coaching clients, there's strategies that make sense for that group of people compared to, like, everyone should be doing the logs, but there are things that we'll get into that are additional. And I know like that sounds kind of shortcutty, but it'll make more sense as we get into it.
We can look at it in terms of like there's long-term fat loss strategies, like something for more sustainable, and then there's, if someone says, hey, I've got a wedding in 6 weeks, what do we do? Like more rapid fat loss. And they both work.
You're so good at that analogy.
Like they both work, but like you got to figure out where you are. So the logs are things that everyone should be doing all the time, and the kindling are things that to keep the fire going, maybe make it a little bit stronger really quickly, but you never deviate from the logs. So in terms of being honest, being authentic, I think it's a skill, because a lot of times it's very easy to go on social media and you're about to make a post and it's easy to like overthink what you're writing, overthink what you're making, overthink what you're doing. And I'll always remember this when Mike and I were talking with Gary Vaynerchuk. We were in Florida one year, and Mike was talking about that he was not really sure what to say in a post. And Gary goes, just say that. And I remember just being like, and
This guy's so smart.
what? No, I was confused at first, and then Gary says again, he goes, just say that. You just say exactly what you feel, and which is rapidly and like forcefully changed my mindset towards social media, where whatever you're thinking, if you have a post and you don't know what, let's say for example, you don't know what to say, you don't know what to write in a post, you don't have a new post to come up with, what if you said, hey, listen, I made an agreement to post on Instagram every single day. To be honest with you, I have no idea what to write in this post, but I made a commitment to post on Instagram every single day. And in the same way that I tell my clients, you should be consistent with your nutrition, consistent with your exercise, I'm going to be consistent with this post. It might not be the best post ever. It might not be the most important post ever, but I'm being consistent and I'm keeping my habit. And that's hopefully, if nothing else, this inspires you to stay on track with your diet, to stay on track with your workout. And that way, all of a sudden, you have a very honest, very real, very valuable post that's not some bullshit that's made up just to post. It's like, or you just didn't post at all. At least you posted, and now they're like, wow, he didn't want to, or she didn't want to, and now, but they did it, and now like you feel better because you got it done. I guarantee you're gonna get some people being like, hey, like that really helped me, and it's true to who you are, you know? Mm-hmm. So in terms of just being honest and being authentic, if you're ever not sure what to do, or if you're ever feeling a certain way, write it or speak it.
Another example that you brought up when we talked about this like a week ago, I think, was coaches who are struggling with their own fitness. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, for all of us, at some point in time, there's going to be aspects of like demotivated to train, have a fat loss goal, like want to get a bit leaner, whatever it is, and personally failing over and over for whatever reason. I think there's an expectation, not from potential clients, but like as coaches, and we perceive other coaches to like expect us to be perfect with our own fitness all the time. And obviously that's not the case. And I think that in my experience, when I've talked about that, current clients are usually the ones who reach out and are like, I feel so much better about this time when I screwed up, or the fact that I've been struggling with this, that like the fact that your clients probably put you on a pedestal to an extent, especially when it comes to fitness stuff. Like the fact that you can be vulnerable and admit that, it does a lot of good things both for you and for the people reading or listening or watching or however you're delivering that content.
So that's how we're going to start this course. And the first thing we wanted to talk about in terms of actual we could call it tactics, is I think one of the most overlooked components of building an online business is your in-person business. And if you have in-person clients, they were for me, they were some of the first people to become my online clients. They already trust you. They're already working with you. And I know, for example, a lot of coaches who are working in person, they have in-person clients, they want to reduce their in-person hours. They're not really sure how to do that. That's where I was. And so one strategy that I used when I was like, hey, I need more time to create more content for my online business. So I started, instead of just being like, hey, I'm just fully going online now, is if I was meeting with someone 2 or 3 times a week, I'd be like, hey, how about this? What if we met 1 time a week now? And it's going to cost you less money overall because we're not going to be meeting in person. So we meet 1 time a week, and everything else will be in my new online coaching program. I'll give you the program. We'll talk via email. If you want to get on the phone and talk, that's fine. Like, especially when you're first starting out and you have more time, some phone meetings with your clients are great. But bringing them online, and then over time, it went from meeting them 1 time a week to 2 times a month, and from 2 times a month to 1 time a month. And now all of a sudden, I'm decreasing my hours in the gym and spending more hours online creating content, writing articles. And those in-person clients, I still have in-person clients, people who I worked with when I was 19, and then also when I was 21. I have people who were my in-person clients at 19 and 21 who are still online coaching clients now, one of whom actually, and we ended up moving within a 5-minute walk of each other in New York. Mm-hmm. And so some of the people that you work with in person are going to be your biggest supporters forever. And I would very much encourage you, if you want to be spending less time in person, have a conversation like, hey, I love you. I want to continue working with you. If there's a way that we could start spending, like, instead of meeting this many times a week in person, meet like one time a week and go online for the rest, I think it would be really beneficial for both of us. And then also say like, hey, I want to give you a free month in the first online coaching. Like, I did that for sure. One of my in-person or my online client now, Brando, who I started working with when I was 21 in person, when he transferred over to my online coaching program, first month was free, just as my way of saying thank you. And he's continuously appreciated that. And it's been forever. And by the way, I've never raised his prices for coaching, which I know we're going to talk about later in this, is like, what should you be charging for coaching? I've never raised his prices. Could I? Yes. And have I raised prices for some clients? Yes. And we can discuss why and how and when. But for someone who has continuously supported me, who's a very like relatively easy client, someone who I like I really enjoy working with, no way in hell I'm going to raise their prices. It's just, I don't care like what any other business coach will tell you, that like you need to raise your prices and be valued more. Fuck that. Like, if you love someone and they're really good to you and you like working with them, don't feel the need to raise their prices because Joe Fuckstick says you need to raise your prices. That's for like you to decide in your heart. Really, it's true.
Completely agree.
You have anything on in-person clients or anything?
The only thought that came into my mind is like, obviously, if you're at a gym and the clients might not be yours to take online, like, do the right thing with not stealing clients. I mean, just like maintaining the relationship with in person, like, depends on the gym and how that's set up, obviously.
I agree with that. What I will say is, if you're working at a gym and you're putting out content, share that with everybody there. Share that with your clients. And like, even if they don't come online with you now, let's say in like 2 years they end up moving. Absolutely. They're not at that gym anymore. They're going to remember the person who is helping them, giving them content. 100%. They're going to be following you. So like, the content you're putting out now is it's going to be so important. It's like, it's so much value, and it's like real estate. It's going to increase in value over time if you put in the work for it. So like, absolutely, and don't think that just because someone is an in-person client, they can't become an online client, because a lot of times they'll be your best online clients.
Yep, 100% agree. The next one I feel like would be pretty quick. It's just so common that it needs to be mentioned, and that's referrals. Like, whether it's from in-person to online, or a current online coaching client who it's a friend, or like in any way. And I've never asked for referrals. I don't know if that's something that you want to like,
we can talk about that,
go deeper on, but just know that the analogy I like to think of is it's like a snowball going down a hill. Like, it's hardest early on, but as you gain more momentum with this entire process, with building the online coaching business, it gets easier. And one of the reasons it gets easier is because if you work hard, if you do a good job, if you do right by your clients, if you deliver on what you say you're going to deliver on, and the result of that will be your clients get results, and the results they want, hopefully, people are going to notice, and people are going to ask, like, how did you lose all that weight? What have you been doing? Like, why do you look so much better? And your name is what's going to come out of your client's mouth. And so at this point, probably, I'd say at least 1 in 4 of my new coaching applications, or like a new client, comes from a referral. And that's either like someone who knows them in person, someone who, like, a lot of, oh, I don't actually know Kelly, but I went to high school with her 10 years ago, and I see her posting on Facebook, and she looks so good, and I see her posting like workout videos that I saw she linked something of yours, and so that's how I got to your website. I read a few of your articles, and now, like, that kind of referral pathway. So I don't know if there's any specific actions to take, or at least I haven't, just because it didn't feel right in my heart to be like, hey, if you tell your friends about your weight loss, and if any of them sign up, then you can have a free month, or like something along those lines, which I've been advised to do. Like, it just didn't feel right, which doesn't make it right or wrong. Like, there are a lot of things I don't do, affiliate marketing for one, that like is morally 100% fine, but like just doesn't feel completely right for me. Like that, I haven't asked clients for referrals, but it's definitely an option.
So it's interesting he brought that up, because we didn't discuss this, but in terms of, there's a lot of psychological and behavioral research on this in terms of if you tell people, but at the end of this, it's going to give you ideas for how to get more referrals in a way that like will feel good. If you tell people, hey, if you do X, Y, Z for me, like if you tell your friends to come work with me and they do, then I'll give you a money incentive. Most people, they will rank that as feeling as some type of dirty. They won't want to do it because, oh, that means I'm only going to tell this person about it so that I get a benefit on the back end. There's a lot of psychological and behavioral research on this, is people not liking that. So it's funny because a lot of business coaches and people will say, set up a referral system that says that you'll give your clients 50% off or give them a free month or whatever. And most people actually don't like being pitched on that. Imagine if Mike and I said to you, hey, if you bring a friend into this mentorship, then we're going to give you 50% off your next month. I bet that most, if not every single one of you would be like, that's just them trying to get more people in. And like, I don't know, like even though I love them, it feels sort of fucking weird. On the other hand, let's say someone came in and they said, oh my God, so-and-so told me about it. They loved it. Like, we had to come in. And then we sent you a note, a heartfelt note saying, thank you so much. So-and-so told us that you recommended them. So we wanted to say thank you. And by the way, we actually just refunded you 50% just as a way of our saying thank you so much. That, in the research, is a much better feeling of gratitude and thank, because they didn't do it for anything on the back end, but when they did do it, we showed our appreciation for it. It's something that they weren't expecting. And for me, something that I've found over the years, for example, is if a client signs on and in the first 2 weeks or 4 weeks, it doesn't have to be, but that's as an example, the first 2 weeks or 4 weeks, they do or say something that really impresses me, that I'm like, wow, like they've been watching the videos that I've set up for them. They say something that shows that they're putting a lot of effort. Hey, I went out, I set my bright line, and I'm like really impressed. I'll send them like $100 back from the original payment. Hey, I'm really impressed with what you did. You're putting a lot of effort. I'm beyond stoked with what you're doing. Just so you know, like that $100 is my way of saying like, keep going because you're crushing it. Not only will they be super stoked, they're going to be way more likely to stay on track. It's a huge motivational boost. And you better fucking believe they're going to go tell all their friends about me, their coach, who just did that amazing thing. And they're going to be like, all right, like, how do I contact him? Now, that is something that I did in terms of they feel appreciated. It's all about making them feel appreciated, making people feel good, making them know that you care about them and you're there for them. Then they're going to speak your praise, not because you offered them a cash prize, but because they know that you care. Mm-hmm. That is the ultimate way to get a referral. It
also is amazing by you because it's such the opposite of like a short-term money grab mindset. It's such a long game. Like, I think a lot of people, and I even got like a little twinge of it when I heard you say that, was like giving away money, or like definitely at certain points in my career I would have felt like that, but it's so long term. Do the right thing is gonna be the best outcome.
Exactly.
And it is.
So I think in terms of setting up a referral system where like you have a canned response that you send your client, like, hey, I was told this by someone once. They were like, you should have a pre-written response that you send your clients after about 2 to 4 weeks. Hey, I love working with people like you who work hard and do really well, and so I'd love to work with more people like you. So if you have any friends who you think would be good for my program, I'll give you your next month off. And I was just like, that sounds like fucking ridiculous. Absolutely not. Whereas if you just find ways to show your clients that you really, really care about them, which could be as simple as like being actually a good coach and just like listening to them and being there and like responding to everything, over delivering, finding ways to over deliver, which for me was sometimes a really simple way of just giving $100 back, or like going above. And maybe I've been doing this a lot lately. I've been sending voice memos to a lot of clients where like it got to a point where I was like, sometimes I felt like I was not delivering enough on emails. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to start, if I am in a mood where I don't want to write a long email, I'm going to send them a voice memo, and people have been super excited about it. And it's just, it might seem like nothing to you, but
huge. Bro, I never even told you this. So for most of my clients historically, I have not done Skype calls or calls. It's been 100% email. I had a kid, like young 20s guy, like really struggling, and we were going back and forth on email, like, 1 minute, like just back and forth. And I was like, hey, what's your Skype? And just jumped on a call for probably like an hour on a random Tuesday night, and just like got really into the call. I thought it was going to take 5 minutes, but like we were both really into it. And like after it, he sent me this long, heartfelt, like, I appreciate that so much, man. Like, you don't even know what that meant to me. That like, and he said something funny. He's like, that it was really you, and you got on a call, like it wouldn't have been me email, like, I don't know. But he said that. This was in 2015, early 2015. Still a client, still like working super hard. I don't think our relationship would be the same, nor would it have continued this long if I didn't do that, which is just over deliver.
And I have a feeling a lot of people would be like, well, I don't have any clients to do this with right now. It's like,
you're going to.
Well, number one, you're going to. Number two is do it to people who follow you. Mm-hmm. Like Instagram. My phone's over there. I put it on Do Not Disturb so it wouldn't ring. I will one day during our live Q&A next week, which we're going to post day and time on soon. I will one day show you how many people I consistently write just randomly, hey, thank you so much for following me on Instagram. And like I used to say, hey, thanks for following me. And then enough people would be like, is this a bot? That I then started writing their first name to make sure that they knew it wasn't a bot, and they would still be like, hey, is this a bot? So then I would start making videos. Quick video. Hey, thank you so much for following me. Really appreciate it. Boom, send. People would be like, holy shit, it took 7 seconds, right? You go on Instagram, hey, thank you for following. Really appreciate it. Boom, send, done. They're like, oh my God. Like, and it's you. That's crazy. Thank you so much. I don't do it to everybody, but I guarantee you, like, I do it to several hundred a week.
Wow.
I do it to several hundred a week. And like, it doesn't take that much time. Like, actually, you know what? It does take a lot of time, but it's worth it. That's probably a really good point, is that it's worth it. And those people will then sit, and this is a form of a referral. They'll then go on their story and be like, oh my God, so-and-so just did this. You have to go follow him. Like, and then I'll respond to that. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. It's like, these are all, if someone tags their friend in the comments of your post, that's a referral. I would rather someone follows me because their friend tagged them in the comment section of my post than someone find me on the explore page. Reason being, if someone is tagged in my post by a friend, that is an immediate increase in trust because someone tagged them in the post. It's like, it's way more trust from the get than if someone finds me just on their own. Doesn't mean I can't build the trust if they do find me on their own, but it's immediately more trust built. So sometimes if people, you may see me do this on Instagram all the time, someone tags their friend, I'll go in, I'll say thank you to the person who tagged them, and then I'll write out the person who is tagged and be like, hey, how's it going? Happy to have you here. I'll say something funny to them. It's like doing things that nobody else is doing that's taking the actual time, and you
builds additional depth.
Yeah, mm-hmm. and there's a lot of those people. Actually, one of my inner circle members recently told me that she joined the inner circle because I specifically wrote to her when her friend tagged her in the comment section. Now she's an inner circle member. Like, it's things like that most people aren't willing to do, and that Gary calls it scaling the unscalable. Like, everyone's looking for the way to automate, way to find the magic system, the things to do less, when if you're one of the few people who are willing to do more, you win over the long term.
Those actions you just described can be done with found time. They can be done like when you put your kid down for a nap. They can be done when you're waiting in line to get on a train. They can be done like
all the time.
Yeah.
Constantly. Like
mid-commute, like
everywhere. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's something like productivity, and we're going to touch on this later, but when I first started working with Gary, I was already, I think, compared to most people in the world, I was relatively productive. But compared to Gary and that in his world, not productive at all. And I had a big issue. I was talking to Mike because Mike worked with Gary first, and I was like, I'm having a lot of trouble because so much of my time is now in transit. So much time in Uber, so much time in cabs, so much time at the airport, so much time on airplanes, so much time on trains. Like, there's so much time in transit, hours and hours and hours a day. And I was like, what in the hell? Like, how do I be productive? And that was when I realized, like, how all these little pockets of time throughout the day that most people are like, I just don't have the time to do stuff. It's like, you do. You sure as shit have time. You just don't know how to, you haven't gotten to a point where, like, you know, like, how those little things, you could DM 10 people over the course of 5 minutes, something really impactful, or like respond to like 4 or 5 comments in the same time frame, and you do that over the course of a year, and you've done hundreds and thousands of those things. That adds up. And it might be while you're waiting in line at the grocery store, it might be while you're sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office, wherever you are, but they really matter.
I've probably designed in the last 5 years, like you just said, doctor's office, and I pictured myself down in Naples recently.
Yeah.
I was literally in there with my laptop and had like an hour and a half wait, and I was like, I don't care. Like, when she said I had an hour and a half wait because I had my laptop, and I was like, I'll just design a couple training programs while I'm sitting right here. Like,
yeah. But it's funny, when Mike and I take an Uber ride together, we both have our computers out. Or like, Mike will have his computer out, and I'll be on my phone, like in the DMs or something. It's like, no matter where you are, what you're going, or what you're doing, these little pockets of time are super powerful. And like, this deviated from the referrals, but like, it's like, it's important, because if you're ever like, I don't have enough time, you do. And that's not us saying you got to wake up at like 3 a.m. and go to bed at midnight. It's like, that's not. We're just saying there's time in the day that you can use to do really powerful and important stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, next log. You want to talk website?
Yeah, you start with a website.
Okay. You should have a website, and you should post long form articles on there.
And we're gonna do something specific on that, but
on the back end, the technical side of, yes.
We've already gotten a number of emails about it. Like, should I have a website? Is it important? Yes, unbelievably important.
And I think that's lost in 2019
Instagram
social
world.
media.
Yeah.
Well, just like faster content in general. Like, more people spend time on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, than historically on website. So, like, does that mean I should still have a website? Like Jordan said, we're going to have a guide that outlines how to make a website as efficiently and cost effectively as possible if you don't have one yet. But there are a number of reasons. One is, like we touched on just now, potential clients who want to jump on with you will read your long form content. A lot of them will like go deep into your stuff before becoming clients. So if you got someone's attention via the Explore page on Instagram, or via a retweet of someone else, or wherever, and that person is going deeper on your stuff, having the backlog, and again, talk about playing the long game. Like, if you're just starting, or started a year or even 2 years ago, and you're making content on a website now, people who apply for coaching in 2022 are going to read stuff from 2019, get value from it, and that might be what was the decision maker in them becoming a client. So that's one, for people to go deeper. Number two is just the potential to like spike a massive SEO article, because
You gotta explain that. A lot of people might not know what that means.
so SEO stands for search engine optimization, and I would be lying if I told you how to optimize so that your article comes up number one when someone types a certain question into Google. But we can talk about some of the ways to maximize the chances of that happening. But having evergreen, so content that will make sense and will help people 5 years from now, having evergreen long form content that SEO's high, even like anywhere on page 1 on Google, is going to be massively beneficial for getting new people into your world, right? Like a post that spikes on Instagram that gets on the Explore page and gets like a lot of new people to your Instagram page. I've had articles on my website, like more than 3 that for a number of years were getting between 500 and 2,000 new visits per day, which is just like that's why there was a period of time where I was getting 40 to 50 email signups every single day without any ads or any paid anything, because certain articles that I wrote, like a How to Count Your Macros article that I wrote in 2013 in one day, just like 2,500 words about something that's still relevant. Like all the concepts in there are still beneficial for people who don't know what proteins, carbs, fats, and alcohol are and how those play into a fat loss or muscle gain plan. The potential for something you write, and whether you write 10 or 20 or 100 articles, the potential to have one or a couple of those get on page 1 of Google is going to get you so much new audience. Just like a viral Facebook video, just like a YouTube video that SEOs super well, which you have a bunch of, like backflips and long lever holds.
I was just going to tell people that.
Single leg RDLs.
So it's funny because as you're saying this, I have a good story for you. Having one of your articles come up on the first page of Google when someone searches for a question is immensely powerful. And if you're still watching this right now, which we really hope you are, go to Google and type in how to do a backflip. And what you will find is the number one pop-up, the number one article is mine on how to do a backflip. Because, and we're going to teach you how to do this, but that was a very deliberately written article and made video teaching people how to do a backflip, number one, but deliberately because I saw, and we'll teach you how to do it, that there was a massive gap on Google, that I had room to write an article that was very fitness focused on how to do a backflip, because number one, I knew how to do one, but I could teach people how to do it, and there was a gap where I knew that if I did it right, it would come up number one. That is one of my top viewed articles every day, with thousands of people going to it, like hundreds of people signing up for my email list, and a lot of new clients and Inner Circle members come just from that article, and they go to my other articles, and maybe they were originally searching for how to do a backflip, but then they ended up going to an intermittent fasting article and then signing up for the Inner Circle. And it's like, how many times do you go on YouTube or go on Google starting looking for one thing and end up 2 hours later being like, how the fuck did I get here? It's like, that's what happens. Like, yeah, people spend a lot of time on Instagram and on YouTube and stuff, but you're probably still using Google, and everybody still uses Google.
And there's something about the psychology of someone who, like Johnny Bananas, or who is he, Johnny Bag of
Johnny Bag of Donuts. I like bananas though too.
He might want to learn how to do a backflip, but just scrolling through Instagram, I mean, social media algorithms are really good. So like maybe he's searched for other things that like gets certain stuff into his explore page, but the psychology of someone who types, especially a how-to,
right?
Because a lot of the stuff that has hit page 1 has been, how to reverse diet, how to like stuff like that. If they're looking for the solution to a problem, like that person is so much more engaged with that piece of content than a piece of content that comes onto their screen in any other way on a Facebook page that their aunt shared or whatever it is. Like those people are just more focused on what you have to offer.
And another thing, if you Google search Batwing Row, my video on YouTube is the first one to come up. If you Google search single leg RDL, my YouTube video and article is the first one to come up. And these are 3 pieces of content that out of thousands and thousands of pieces of content that I made, but these are 3 that drive a huge percentage of people to me. It's Pareto's principle. 20% of what you do will drive 80% of the results, and 80% of what you do will so basically just being 20% of what you do will drive 80% of the results. It's like,
and you can't necessarily control which 20%.
You can't. And that's like Mark Bell once told me, a really famous powerlifter, a really great guy. He was like, you never know what one piece of content's going to go viral. You never know just what one piece of content is going to change your entire life. I remember I wrote an article, if you Google search how to stay full in a calorie deficit do that shit right. How many people do you think are searching that? How to stay full in a calorie deficit. My article, guaranteed top 5, maybe top 3 on Google, maybe number 1, but within definitely top 5. That article, I published it. I remember I was sitting in my college dorm room, published it, and I was expecting like immediately people were like, oh, love this, oh, this is great. Like nothing happened. And I was so pissed because I spent a long time making this article. Writing is shit. If you go read it, my writing was really like not good at all. But super informative article, very good content, a lot of helpful content. Maybe you'll actually find it helpful. I encourage you to go read it. But about 2, maybe 3 months later, I remember my site crashed one day. And I was sitting in my college dorm room. I was like, what the hell? Like, why is my site down? I went to Kevin, like, Kevin, why is my site down? And he's like, you're having a huge influx of people going to your site today. I was like, what? And I went on Twitter, and one of the writers from a website called Lifehacker, really big site, had shared that article. And in that one day, I had 25,000 people go straight to that article. And then this brings up another story about email lists, which we'll talk about as well. But I remember Roger Lawson, who was a good friend, really looked up to him. He texted me because like that article was going, Bennett, it went all over the internet. It was huge. He was like, man, you must be getting so many email signups. And I didn't have an email list at that time. I didn't have anything to get those people to sign up. So I just remember being like, I don't have an email list. So like, should you have a website? Damn fucking straight. Absolutely. Should you have an email list? Yes, absolutely. We'll tell you all of this. It's coming in the courses. But a website with long form articles is so unbelievably powerful and important, and maybe even more powerful and important now than ever when everyone else is focused on social media. Because if you can focus on doing that, then you'll build a huge log. And if anyone is thinking about saying no one reads long form content anymore, I mean, number one, you're at least 30 minutes into this fucking video, like probably more. And like, if you are ever interested in something, you're going to spend time reading on it or watching it. If think of it this way, if you're looking for a new car to buy, if you're like looking to buy a new car, then you're probably going to go be reading consumer reports and test driving stuff and reading what car gets the best gas mileage and has the best reviews and like spending a lot of time. But if you buy a new car and now you just bought a new car, you're probably not going to spend much time looking for new car stuff, looking at the reports because you already got one. You're not interested in it anymore. I bet a lot of you, when you first got into fitness, you spent a ton of time, maybe you still do, reading about fitness, reading about nutrition, like reading like all like the science and like all of the coaching and the books and the manuals, spending hours and hours and hours. 97% of people will not read your long form article. But you're not trying to get those 97% of people to be your client. Those the 3% who do, the 3% who are willing to read that long form, the people who are that interested, those are the people who are going to be your clients, and you're not. That's who you're writing to. You're not writing the 97% who don't give a shit because they're not gonna read. They don't want to read it anyway. It's like the people who are like, no, I'm writing a shorter caption or shorter article so that everybody reads it. It's like, even if someone reads the shorter caption, if you write a shorter caption and someone who isn't interested in any way reads it, they don't give a shit. But if the 3% of people who read the short caption don't get enough out of it now because it was short, you don't give them enough value, you're shortchanging the people who actually cared about it. And like, you should be writing for the 3% who actually care. So really roundabout way of saying, yes, websites, super important.
And the other upside to having a long form article that answers a question, and I know this happens to you all the time, when people ask a question that requires a detailed answer and you already have the perfect piece of content for it, boom, here it is, here's my website. They find other content from there, whether that's an email or a DM or anywhere. Like, having that already, and it might be in a canned response that you can reply with an email and a link to it, or just go to your website, copy it, send it to them. Yeah, it's just massively helpful for that reason. And
from the perspective of getting more clients, in your longer form articles, especially on a website, like in an Instagram caption, you can't like plug in a client success story or a client picture, or like you can't do that stuff, and you shouldn't do that stuff in really a lot of that. But on website articles, you have a lot of room to give a ton of content and a lot of value, and then give a case study of a client that you've worked with or a client example. And even if someone doesn't see that article for 2 years, but it's still up there, and then they go in and they see like the success that you've had with clients, and like now you have a lot of room to really structure an article however you want, with backlinks to wherever you want, to whatever pages you want. Like, they have something on a website, it's called a bounce rate, and the bounce rate basically measures how long someone will stay on your website. And so if you have an article on intermittent fasting for fat loss, then you have an article on in that article you're writing, okay, yeah, so you may have read in my ultimate guide to fat loss, which everybody should have an article of, and link back to that. Then they go click that article, and then they're reading that whole thing, and and you might have read in my beginner's guide to strength training and link to that, and now they go to that article, and you're keeping people on your site.
Email opt-in thing,
and if you have seen my client success stories, and then click that, and now you have a big page of all your client success stories. It's like, the more you can keep people on your page, and the more that you can show them, essentially, you can build trust way more quickly on your website and articles than you can on social media. And both are better than either alone. But a lot of people nowadays are saying, is a website important? Do I need it? And I'll tell you this much, even though my website or my Instagram has over 400,000, I get way more requests for coaching from my website than I do on Instagram DM. And that's because people are going from my Instagram to Google, typing in my name, Jordan Syatt Coaching. Like, if you go type in Jordan Syatt or Syatt Fitness on Google, you'll see like some search terms pop up. Like, some people search like Jordan Syatt wife for whatever reason, but people will be like coaching prices or inner circle. Like, those are some top search terms. So like, it's important that like, if people find you on Instagram or on social media, they'll go Google you, and they'll Google your coaching, and you better have a website to show them with more value and more trust to build. So, and we'll go over that.
All right, so the next log is a strategy that we both use, that we recommend all of you start to practice in some way, which is a content marketing strategy, or basically anywhere you're posting to add value, whether it's a YouTube video, any kind of Facebook content, any kind of Instagram content, Twitter, like you kind of mentioned it within articles, but rather than making a post that is a sale, right? Like tweeting, sign up for my coaching, or something as obvious as posting a progress picture of a current client who's killing it, and in the description just being like, hey, I'm opening coaching spots, like come sign up. Rather than doing that as a form of like very obvious, very direct, fairly aggressive marketing, simply mentioning things, like very subtle things about the fact that you offer online coaching, the fact that you have online coaching clients. I don't know if any examples are coming to mind specifically.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some simple ones. Number one being like, and if you go back to my website articles, you'll find these all over the place, but being like, so one thing that's worked really well with my online fat loss coaching clients is ... Super simple, and it's not like, number one, you give them value because you're going to go tell them what works really well. And number two is, now someone who might not know if you do coaching, it's like, oh, is online fat loss coaching clients? Like,
and some people might not even know that's a thing. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people.
A lot of people still don't know that online coaching is a thing. I still have family members who are like, what do you do? What do you do again? And I'm like, oh, I do fitness coaching and online. You can do that online? Like, it's for real. People don't know that it's, and when we first started, people really didn't know. Like, when we first started doing, people really did not know that, and they were way more skeptical about it, and now it's way more common. But I mean, I still get people who will email me or DM me being like, do you do coaching? Like, all the time. And if people are asking me or Mike that, guaranteed they're going to ask you that too. And so simple mentions of like, one thing that's worked really well for my online fat loss coaching clients is this, or I was having a conversation with one of my online coaching clients, so-and-so, and she brought up a great question, which was this. And it's like,
or even if you have a specific point to make, or like lesson to teach about fat loss, about nutrition, about training, wrap that up in a story about one of your online coaching clients, and just that mention, like if you're doing like a little 4-part Instagram story, Snap story, whatever it is, and rather than even using yourself as an example, saying, my client Sherry like did this and then this changed and she got better at this, without in any way pitching coaching. But I guarantee some people are going to think, oh, like, from your videos, I thought you only coached in person. I didn't know that you offered online coaching. Or they'll just be like, what is online coaching?
Exactly. And
I think basically any platform too, it works pretty well natively to do that.
I think it works better than a hard pitch from a long-term perspective. It's going to work better because with that, you can continue to give value. You can have a really great post. You can actually, people aren't going to be like, oh, another pitch, oh, this. It's not like, oh, I'm unfollowing this person because all they do is pitch about, like, you literally might only pitch 2 times in 6 months, hard pitch, but some people are still going to be like, oh, this person only pitches and they never give any value, and like 99% of your post might be value, but like if you do that style of a post, it's still giving really good value. In terms of, I know you're about to say something, I want to jump in. A lot of people will do client success stories as a pitch, which I think is a very valuable and a very valid form of informing people of your coaching program. But most people, when they have a before and after picture of their client, royally fuck up, and I'm going to tell you how, is when they have a before and after picture of a client, and the way that they share it is basically being like, look at the results my clients are getting. Like, you can sign up for my coaching program now. And like, it's just, they make the post about them rather than the fucking person who did all the work. And it's like, can you imagine being that person? And it's like you just feel like you're being used, right? And I guarantee you will have infinitely better response from the person who actually is in the picture and from potential clients if you say, this is my friend. Like, I don't really say my client, like, this is my friend so-and-so, and we have been working together for however long, and I wanted to share his story with you or her story with you because they've put in a metric fuck ton of work. They've impressed the hell out of me, and I think that what they've done might be able to help you too. And then you could be like, so when we first started working together, they like weren't really sure, they weren't really like 100% confident in themselves, whatever the story is. But tell a story about the person, about them and what they went through and how hard they worked, and about what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And at the end of it, don't you dare have a pitch.
I think that works better also because when you make it about your coaching service, you're not adding any value.
Exactly.
When you're telling the story about that person's journey and even like a specific aspect of their journey, you can also help people who have no interest or even at the time maybe financial ability to sign up for your coaching, but it's still a valuable piece of content because you can teach within the story.
I want to take it back. I was like, don't you dare have a pitch. I just got super passionate. If you want to have a pitch sometimes, go for it. Personally, I would never have a pitch in that type of a post because it doesn't feel good for me to put up a picture of someone who's put in a lot of work and then use that as like a hard sales tool. But what I really am trying to impress upon you is that in any type of content, you can always find ways to have mentions of your coaching or to make people aware of your coaching without necessarily having a hard pitch. And I bet if you look at a lot of Mike and I's stuff, you'll see you'd be hard put to find hard pitches for what we do, like hard sales pitches. And I think that's why a lot of people respect us and a lot of people like value us, because we're not constantly doing that. And I think a lot of people are curious, well, like, how do you guys do well and you don't really pitch that much? And it's like, because we've created so much value and so much trust over years and years and years and years that now we have a stream of people and a lot of attention. And when you have that, that's what's going to create a long-term scalable business, as opposed to like those pitches. And not to say those pitches don't work, and not to say we'll never do them. I mean, we clearly do them sometimes, but doing them once a year is probably way more effective and way more valuable to your audience long term than to do them once a week or way more often.
Yeah, 100% agree. I also just don't see much of a difference between and I'm open to the fact that I could be wrong about this, because I don't think I'm necessarily very good at selling, but in my experience, I don't see a hard sell as being more effective even in one post than a mention, or like soft sell, or whatever you want to call it. Just making someone aware of the fact that you offer online coaching and that your clients get great results with a nice bow on it.
By the way, I almost never hard pitch my inner circle, but one thing I do is I'll go in my comment section and I'll be like, hey, you win a free month in my inner circle. I appreciate you commenting. I appreciate whatever. And then I'll screenshot that and put it in my story, circle it, be like, this person won a free month in my inner circle.
Oh, what's an inner circle?
And then you get all these other people being like, oh, I want to join the inner circle. What is the inner circle? Tell me about it. And that one mention of it and creating a lot of attention around it and awareness of it will get more people, number one, engaging with my content because they want to win, and also more people joining because they're more aware of it. So if you go in your comment section and say, like, someone comments or asks a question, why not just be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate you commenting, asking a question. I want to give you 1 month of free online coaching. Email me for more information, and email me and we'll get started right away. Screenshot that, put it in your story. Be like, so stoked for so-and-so getting a free month of online coaching from me. I appreciate everyone, anytime anyone comments on my post, you're getting more engagement. You're making people aware of your coaching program. And now, like that, if you actually over deliver with that one person, they might want to continue with you and start paying you. It's like so much value from that one giveaway. It's like that will do way more than just a hard sales pitch. So
yep,
there's that.
We got 2 more logs. Do you have one that we want to hit first?
We could talk. People probably want to know about ads.
Cool.
Ads.
Cool.
You want to start off with it?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. I don't know that either of us are the biggest experts, especially at and this is back to number 1, like truth, being honest, being authentic. Like, I could bullshit for 5 minutes about Facebook ads because I've run them and because, like, I can talk a little.
You know enough to bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And like, when I was running them, I had success with a few strategies, but like from a high level perspective, I'm not an ads expert. It isn't how I've,
built your business, yeah,
or like built a lot of attention. With that said, going a little more granular, one strategy that has worked well is simply playing with, and this is with Facebook video specifically, playing with audiences that are interested in, we'll call it like the type of fitness that you are, and like for bodybuilding that might be some pages, and for CrossFit type stuff that might be others, for functional others, but like playing with different audiences there and then promoting your video content, and not a sale or not a pitch, but content that did the best. And historically for me, where I've got the best value for my ads, or like the cheapest views, are with the good videos, but boosting those to different audiences that you think will appreciate and relate to and benefit from that specific piece of content. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like we were kind of talking about it, comparing a couple years back, and we're getting less than like 1 cent or even slightly less than 1 cent views to an interested audience on Facebook. Now, that could mean that $10 or $20 leads to 0 coaching applications, but it probably leads to 87 or 112 new people liking your page. which leads to like future coaching clients. It's back to the patience thing. Like long term, it's just going to work. But promoting good content on Facebook and probably Instagram at this point, not probably, but definitely, I just haven't done it, in the story feature is going to work if you have money. Like, and that's another thing we can talk about.
Yeah, so a bunch of things on this. Generally speaking, I've played around with ads, done the same thing as Mike in terms of put money into specific content. That's worked really well. I could probably tell you that most business coaches, gurus, masterminds, whatever, what they'll use as a selling point for their programs, like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach you how to run ads to your targeted audience, and then we're going to teach you, we're going to create a sales funnel in your email system that will be a 6 to 8 email sequence specifically written. So one, they get the automated response, and then by the end of it, it's going to be a coaching program that then they'll reply and they'll get into. And it's like this whole, and it does work. It can work really well, but what they don't tell you about ads is that in order to build a very effective ad that has a lot of success, is you have to spend a significant amount of money, and you have to test and test and test, and that requires a lot of money. I literally just saw a post from a guy I respect in the marketing world who said, it was a great post. He put on Instagram, he's like, just so everybody knows, my ad campaigns lost $12,000 yesterday. And the reason I'm telling you this is because there's so much highlight reel stuff on Instagram. I hope that you see this and like, like if you're having a tough day, it's part of the process. It was like, he lost $12,000 on ads. I'm not saying you have to spend that much money when you're first starting out, but ads work. They work very well. But if you just say like, I'm going to do one ad and you put in $100 to it, don't expect your first ad to be a huge fucking success. Like, it takes a lot of time and practice to get really good at it. It's like if you expect someone to go deadlift the first time, like, all right, go deadlift 500 pounds. It's like, well, hold on. First, we got to start off with like the trap bar, or maybe like a kettlebell, and like learn. It's a skill. And in the ad industry, the people who are really good at coming up with great ads and targeting audiences and having good sales copy, these are massive teams of people who've done it for years. It's like they get paid a lot of money because it is a huge skill and a commodity. So there are a number of ways to advertise. Number one, just being with free content, and then you could also do paid advertising, but being aware that if you're going to go down that route, don't you dare expect to spend $100 and be like, I'm a millionaire now, or like it works. Like, you will fail and you'll fail and you'll fail until you get a really good ad. Now, going to another part of advertising where what I do and what Mike does, I haven't done it in a while because I haven't needed to, but Mike and I have discussed, we actually have a pact, a pinky promise, where we're going to spend X amount of money on ads on Instagram soon. But for me, I've preferred putting money into content without any pitch for coaching, without any pitch for like, hey, join the inner circle, hey, do this, just purely for awareness, to get people to find my content. And I think this is worth talking about because this is what happened on Facebook. Facebook started, people built business pages on it. They got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people on their pages, and Facebook was giving them a lot of views organically. And what happened was then Facebook started decreasing their organic reach. And that's fine. It's Facebook's platform. This is what, like, and a lot of people got really mad. They were like, what the fuck? Like, we built all this, da da da. It's like, you have to remember, that's Facebook's page. They built this platform. This is theirs. And they can do with it what they want.
Super, super quick. It's a really good argument to build on all like 5 to 7 platforms,
including your website, right? So,
which you'll have control over.
Exactly. So when Facebook started decreasing engagement and organic views, they're like, hey, advertise with us. If you pay us, we'll get your content out to more people. And people were really upset. It's like, if you're really upset about that, then don't build your house on somebody else's lawn. That's what you're doing. You're like, Facebook is giving you this, and that's what happens with Instagram. And so, and people, they don't really get it. Like, Facebook owns Instagram. The exact same thing is about to happen. It's already happening with Instagram, where they're decreasing organic reach. And now you're going to start seeing more ads on Instagram. And that's okay. And one of my arguments for this is, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to pay them to get my content seen. I'm like, if I'm going to spend 2 hours plus on making a certain piece of content, you better believe I'm going to be willing to put $50 behind that piece of content to get more people to see it. Like, why would I spend that much time on a piece of content for nobody to see it? Putting like, that 2 hours is worth a lot of money. Putting another $50 into it to get another 10,000 people to see it, hell yeah, absolutely.
And maybe it's 50, maybe it's like $5 or $6 or $7. Maybe it's $3, and you see that whatever the KPI, I think that's the right term, that that you're just mimicking Gary's videos. Whatever the metric that you're using, whether it's views, whether it's clicks, with that advertisement, whether you're getting the rate, like we talked about, less than 1 cent video views, or like a 10-cent click through, a 5-cent page like if it's doing well, putting more money into it, basically saying that like it might be 50, it might be $3, something might be killing it, and you might put $100 or $200 or $300 behind it.
So basically, actually, here's another thing. I know a lot of there are ads that you could run for page likes. Don't do that. I know there are business coaches who recommend this, and I know people who put a lot of money behind literally running ads to get people to like your page. That is ridiculous, and it doesn't help. It's like a joke. It's like, I think there are people who are just laughing like behind, like, oh, we're gonna tell people they can pay us to get page likes. It's like, oh my God, it's really awful. And I have nothing to prove this, but I have a deep gut belief that Facebook or whatever platform it's on will actually downgrade you for doing that. Will it be like they'll show people less of your stuff if you're doing that? I would much rather you take a piece of content that organically performed really well and then put money behind it and get more people to see that. It'll do infinitely more. And by the way, I've run ads like that on just straight up content.
And that gets you page likes.
And it gets you page likes. People will, and I've had people comment on those posts, be like, I was waiting for the sales pitch on this because I saw it was an ad and it didn't come. I love this guy. It's like, when people see that you're actually putting money behind good content, people will be like, I respect that. And you're going to build a lot more trust, a lot more value with people who really care, versus like getting vanity metrics for likes from people who might not even exist. I don't know where those fucking likes are coming from. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how you're getting that. Like, I've never gone on Facebook, seen an ad, like this page, and been like, okay, like, I don't think they're real fucking people. I don't know. But, you know, I who knows if I even know what I'm talking about. But we can, ads, I think especially when you're beginning, if you want to put, you can do $3 or $5 behind it. But like, I'd rather get 100 people to see it than 10. And if I can pay $3 or $5 to make that happen, damn straight I'm going to do it. And we'll teach you the most important parts of it, the basics of it. But I think a lot of people hear ads and they get excited, and like sequences and automated responses. They're like, oh yeah, cool, teach me that. But the logs of what we're talking about, like the honesty and the like everything that we've already spoken about thus far, that is really going to build a sustainable business that you feel really good about, rather than trying to find that, like trying to find the best way to set up your ad and sales sequence is like your clients trying to find the best fat burning pill. It's just like, sure, maybe they can take what's that? What the fuck is that tree root? What's the tree root? I don't even know anymore. There's a tree, I don't even know. Maybe there is a fat burning pill that like does work a little bit, like a little bit, but like,
oh, Yohimbine,
whatever. Like, that's like your client who's like 42% body fat being like, you think Yohimbine HCl is gonna help me right now? It's like, no, motherfucker. Like, let's get this don't worry about the ads and the sales sequences until you have everything else taken care of first.
Yep.
So the last log, we're going to the last log right now.
Last log, and we'll go through this one quickly because I think the kindling we're about to get to is more important than this, but walking the talk in some way. And I think this matters more for a subset of clients. Like, there are some people who are very interested in what my training is and in what my nutrition is. And those people have oftentimes gone on to become clients. Some people don't really care what I'm doing for myself. But for those who care, and whether it's me or any other coach, they care because whether for better or worse, because I'm not convinced this is a good thing, but it's just true, they want what I have. And whether that's a certain look, whether that's a certain amount of strength, whether that's like being able to run a certain mile time for athletes, like being able to physically embody what it is that you're selling or that you're helping people achieve is going to be beneficial in converting more clients. That can be what do you deadlift 7 times your body weight?
Okay, and this guy Dale Carnegie over here.
but literally, like, it's been mostly younger men who have applied to coaching and been like, in their goal, it'll be like, I want to look like you. I want to have abs like you, or like something along those lines. To which I almost always reply like, look, I don't want you to look like me. I want you to look like the best version of you, and that might be better or worse or just different in some way. In fact, it is going to be different in some way. But I'm sensitive to this because I know that different people have different struggles and are coming from different places, and not only have different priorities, but have different like abilities and lifestyles and obligations, and like people are just in different places. I'm definitely not saying, hey, everyone in the mentorship, let's get below like 14% for women and 7% for men, and that's your challenge. Like that's not it. Partly because I don't think it's that effective, but being the best version of you physically from a strength and or athletic and or performance and or aesthetic point of view is going to help, we'll call it like possibly draw a bit more attention, but also give you, whether deserved or not, give you more authority on certain subjects.
Yeah, it'd be like if you probably wouldn't want to work with Mike and I on the business mentorship if we didn't have at least somewhat successful online businesses.
You just did the analogy in reverse. This guy's so smart.
Right? It's like that's where, I mean, could that happen? Sure. If enough people just liked us enough to support us, for sure, and if like we had good stuff to stay on it. But there's a lot of value to like actually showing, practicing what you preach. And that can be done in a number of ways. Like, for example, if you're more focused on the mindset of stuff, on hey, like if you're trying to help people build a better mindset around food, which is a lot of what I do now. Like when I really first got into this stuff, it was more based on powerlifting and deadlifting and strength. And that's like at that point in my career, I thought I only wanted to work with men and women who wanted to just like lift a fuck ton of weight. And over the years, it sort of transferred into more being like, you know what, like I'd rather not work with that only. I would love to work with people who are more just like everyday people who want to feel and look better, and that's it. And so now a lot of my content is based around building a healthier relationship around food. And so deliberately, a lot of the content that I post is based around like me enjoying foods that are not necessarily like healthy or clean, but also being able to do it in a way that shows like, hey, you know what, like I'm cool with this and like I'm fine. And being able to do that while still being healthy at the same time, it showed like, I'm by no means shredded at this point. I've been way more cut in my life, but showing them like, hey, you know what, I'm not shredded at this point, but I'm still enjoying this and I'm able to live healthy. And that is like the version of walking the walk at this point in my life. So you don't have to be shredded. You don't have to have a 4 times body weight deadlift. You don't have to be a world record holder. You don't have to do any of this, but finding your way to show that whatever you're trying to give people, that you're living that life, is super helpful and really, really impactful. So
we'll do it real quick, top to bottom. Tell the truth
Cool.
/ be authentic as like the pillar of all of this. Clients are going to come via referrals, transferring in-person clients to online coaching clients, which is going to free up time to make more content and make the business more scalable, in addition to the fact that in-person clients make good online clients. Have a website and write, and yes, it still matters to make long-form written content. More detail on that is coming. Paid advertisements, content marketing, or like the soft sell within your content, mentioning coaching clients, their experiences, really on all platforms it works well. And then embodying what it is that you are teaching yourself in your own life are like the pillar things that we want to be doing as long as we're coaching clients.
And now we're going to get into the kindling stuff, which is a little bit more tactical. Okay, so now
Hang on.
we are going to do the kindling while Mike finishes up his Snapchat. So the kindling is basically, it's the more tactical stuff. It's the stuff that you can do with the logs. It's more of the base concepts, the principles. Kindling are actual things that you can do within those principles. So we have a list, and this is the one this is one we've said a lot before. It's worth reiterating, number one, and it's worth discussing
I can't believe you actually started.
a couple more specifics so that you can learn some new ways to do it. So first one being coaching for free. And Mike actually has a really good story, or Wicked Sheep, but Mike has a really good story about one person in particular who he's coached for free that has led to a lot, and I want him to tell that first, and then I'll give some other examples. But this is number one, a really good example of why storytelling is a really good opportunity for you within your content, because stories are very helpful. And also it's going to show you why a lot of times when coaches will tell you coaching for free is a bad idea, it's actually a very good idea, especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah, so that last sentence especially, it depends where you're at in your journey. It depends how much time you have. It depends like how many in-person clients, how many online clients. Like there's a certain point when building your online coaching business where taking on full-on free clients isn't going to make a ton of sense, which you'll know when you get there. Taking on people for free, and specifically, if possible, we'll call it like micro influencers. So someone who has more attention on them, has a wider social circle, in person or online, than the average person, is going to be a more valuable potential client than someone who doesn't, all else equal. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't take on like your friend for a deep discount, or someone who doesn't have any kind of audience you think is going to crush it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't coach those people. It just means that keep your eyes open for opportunities for, and I'm not talking like coaching a celebrity kind of thing. I'm talking the restaurant manager or owner in like a small town who knows a lot of people, or someone who has like a small Instagram following around, you know, whether it's a business or whether it's they're just like a popular person, or they have a hobby that they make content around, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or anywhere. Gary's obviously he's not even really an example of this, because we're not coaching him for free, and we're like, he is a celebrity at this point. But there was a woman back in 2014 who reached out to me for coaching, couldn't afford coaching, or like maybe she could but wanted to barter. At the time I think I had 5 one-on-one online coaching clients, and I was coaching 30 hours a week in the gym at the time as well, here in New York on the Upper East Side at Structure Personal Fitness. And this woman reached out. I remember the email. At first I was like, like I had like a real negative feeling, like she was trying to use me or take advantage of me, because she's like, I know some people, like I post on my Instagram, I don't remember if I said it, but she had like 2,000 followers at the time on Instagram, but like very active, several comments on every post. And she was like, would you be willing to barter in some way? Like, I'll give you shout outs if you coach me. She had just had a baby within a year and was looking to lose that baby weight, had struggled, was struggling with some anxiety, and like just had consumed a lot of my blog and was wondering if I would help. So my initial gut feeling was like, no, I'm not going to like discount coaching for you. Like, who do you think you are, without knowing her? I looked at her stuff. I saw a little bit of engagement. I was like, okay, like if she's posting about me, which I believe she said, like I'm going to talk about this on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. I don't remember exactly why or like what clicked for me, but I was like, okay, well I'm charging, I think it was $199 a month at the time, and I was like, what do you think is fair? And she said, can I give you $50 a month, and then I'll also, talk about you in my content. And I was like, okay, so we did it. Ended up, like, long story short, forming a really good relationship. She's a friend to this day. I coached her for over 3 years. She made an insane amount of progress in that time. And like the bottom line here is her Instagram grew several thousand, like in the single thousands over a few years. But that like deep loyal following led to over like 80 to 100 referrals in that amount of time, which is like on average over $1,000 per person. So that one like free
over like 80 to 100 referrals that converted.
People who became coaching clients. No, I mean, I can't even imagine the number of coaching applications that were like, I found you through blah, blah, blah. She talks about you all the time and how great you are. Like, what are your prices? And, I was converting at maybe like between 10 and 15%. So I don't even know how many, but like 80 to 100 clients, and which plays out to like 100,000 over a few years, but like from that one person. And there were other people, the micro influencer thing came to me after, because there were a lot of people I coached for free, or for like people who wanted to work with me for free, but I was like, I want you to have a little bit of skin in the game. So I'd have them, I'd say, look, I charge $199 or $249 at the time. I was like, give me $20 a month, we'll set up the PayPal recurring, or 40 or 50 a month, we'll set up the PayPal recurring. So they felt like they had something in it, but like purely from a financial perspective, it didn't make sense to me. But the fact that I got the experience coaching them, I got to, for those that like really succeeded, use their story as a testimonial. And then like this woman and like a couple others on a much, much lesser scale, obviously, got referrals that led to that snowball effect that I talked about earlier. Like, the coaching business just gets easier the more of it you do. And so I was super fortunate that for whatever reason I like got out of my own way in that situation where I was like, I don't want a discount for you, but for whatever reason did, and like that was the outcome.
And so 100, like, just to reiterate, over several years that led to like 100,000 whatever in just from making that work with that one person. I have stories of very similar in regard to number one, for free. I've coached a lot of people for free. I still do coach people for free in some cases, not as much, but I still do, just because I like doing it. But I very recently had a guy reach out to me who he has actually a relatively big Instagram. It's 20,000 or so, and it's all based around like dirt bike racing. And he's actually consistently offered to pay full price. And I've consistently just been like, listen, I'm just gonna. And it comes back to what we spoke about in the logs, being like, yeah, cool. Like if I was like, yeah, cool, but you got to give me shouts. it might not feel good. Even if he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like for me being like, yeah, we'll do this, but you have to do this. I don't like that. For me, I'm just like, hey, listen, here's the deal. Like, I'm going to do this for free, like just because I like to, and that's it. Like, that's it. And he's done that out of his own, because he wants to, and he'll go on his story, and then he'll make posts about it if he hits a personal record. And if there gets to a point where it's like I want him to pay, then I'll be honest about it, and I'll say, hey, you know what? Like, it gets to a point where I want you to pay. But I think a lot of people, they might either say, well, you have to do this, or they want that like the agreement, like, hey, this has to happen. And if that's the way you're going to go into it, it's sort of like taking away the generosity of it. It doesn't always feel good. So for him, I've been doing it for free, and he's been returning the favor. If he didn't return the favor, if he didn't, and I wasn't okay with it, I'd have no problem just being like, hey, all right, you know, starting now, we're going to start paying. But like, it's coming back to that, like, giving without the expectation of things in return is like super valuable and really, really helpful. And another thing is, even if it's not 100% for free, doing it really discounted is also, if it feels right to do it, do it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, should I discount my stuff? A lot of people say don't discount, it takes value away. So that's really something you got to think about in your heart and know for yourself. So, and I'll give an example. I've been told time and again by a lot of business coaches, don't discount, don't discount, don't discount, don't discount, but it never felt right for me. And I remember when I was living in Israel when I was 23 or 24, I remember I got on the call with a potential new client, and I told her what I was charging at the time, which I believe was around $300 or so a month, and we jibed really well. It was like a really good call. I really liked her a lot. I could tell like she wanted to do it, but like she couldn't afford $300 a month, and I was like, hey, listen, all right, here's the deal. Like, I like everything that we spoke about. I can tell you really want to that you want to work hard, that you're really into this. How about we try it at like this reduced cost? I think it was like $150 or something a month. And she was like, that would be amazing. And so we did. And she, number one, is still a client to this day. She's bought literally every single product, every single t-shirt, every single thing I've ever come out with ever. And she's referred to me more people than I can even begin to like, number one, I probably don't even know all the people she's referred to me, because she definitely hasn't told me all of them. And she's just become like my ultimate supporter in every which way. And this has happened with several people. It's not just her, but this is just one example that always pops to mind. And you never know who you're going to develop just an unbelievable relationship with, like a super fan, super supporter, just from like, if you jibe really well with someone, the idea of not taking them on as a client at a discounted price just because some fucking like Derek told you like don't discount it because it reduces your value, that's ridiculous. Like, absolutely not. If it feels good to you, they feel like you get along really well, discount it for sure.
Not to mention, like, do they assume that because you discount for someone, everyone is somehow going to know that?
Right.
Like, oh, Jordan dropped his price for a client. Like, he doesn't think very highly of himself. Don't work with... Like, that information probably isn't going anywhere.
Exactly.
Let alone, like, everywhere. But at the core of it, like, following your gut and your intuition about how you felt about her.
And then let's say, for example, someone comes to you from them and they're like, hey, I'd like to do coaching with you. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, I charge this amount. And then they come back and like, oh, well, so-and-so told me you charge this amount. You could always say, yep, for them that's their amount, but since my prices have changed and this is my current rate, it's your business. You're more than welcome to do that. And if then they're like, oh, okay, well then I'm not going to do it then, cool. Mm-hmm. That's it. Or you could be like, cool, all right, listen, I'm happy to give you that rate too if you'd like to do that. It's up to you. But
whatever
like,
you feel is right.
Just because someone comes to you and says, well, I know so-and-so and they're paying this much, it's like, cool. That's when they signed on with me. Now that's not my rate anymore. And that's okay, right? So it's you own your business, you make your rules. So is there anything else we wanted to talk about in terms of coaching? I think we've hammered on coaching for free enough. Just hoping that, like, I know that I've spoken about this with a lot of coaches, and a lot of people have said like, I feel like I'm just doing it too much. Like, you have to really listen to your own heart on this one. Like, when should you stop, if ever? I still coach people for free because it feels really good for me, and I like coaching and I like doing it, but you don't have to. That being said, if you're struggling to get clients and you're not coaching for free, I think it's just a huge mistake.
And you have time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so you want to talk about this one for the DMing?
Yeah. In 2013,
what a clip! Way to start. I like this one.
I got banned from.
I didn't know this.
Yahoo. Yeah, you did.
Oh, I did know this.
Yeah. From Yahoo Answers, which was, if you know the website Quora, Q-O-R-A.
Quora.
.com. Just like a public question and answering website. Yahoo Answers was that back in 2013. And what I would do is search in Yahoo Answers for the fitness answers to any question. What are macros? Like, how to lose fat? Should I lift or do cardio? And I would answer them really well in detail, like what I thought was the best possible answer. And then I would always say, and here's my website if you want to learn more. Or I would list a specific article if it made sense, which it sometimes did. And I remember they put like a block on my account, and then I could only answer so many questions per day, and then I couldn't answer questions, and I reached out to their help guy, and he's like, look, there's no sales on here. I was like, I'm not selling anything. He's like, well, you put your website in every single post. I was like, well, my website's really helpful. He's like, I don't care, man. You can't do that. But the premise, which still exists today, and we're going to tell you how to do that today more effectively, was search out on the internet for specific individuals that have a question that you can help them with, fitness related, and give them value for free by answering that question. At the time, it was Yahoo Answers. Like, even Cure is pretty good now, but the places and ways you can do that now, and I don't know how you want to break this up, but like Facebook groups and on Instagram DMing people.
And we'll go from there. I want to tell a quick story too, because like just memories flashback, but also to show you this is super valuable. When I was 18, I was Martin Birkin's nutrition client at leangains.com. He really popularized intermittent fasting, and at that point in time, I don't even know if Facebook business pages were a thing. Maybe they were, but his personal Facebook page was very active, and he would just make statuses that were like either just comical or very information based, and they got hundreds and hundreds of comments. They're really, really active, but Martin would never answer questions on it, ever. He was never answering questions, and I remember it was me and maybe like 3 or 4 other people who were the self-proclaimed moderators of Martin's Facebook page, and we would go in and answer all the questions. And at that point in time, I didn't have a business. I didn't have a website. I didn't have anything. But I was just like, I was learning about it. I was working with Martin. I was studying it all the time. And I was like, I know these answers, so I'll just go in and help people. And a lot of those people still follow me to this day. A lot of them have been clients. One of them, this is so cool, his name is Omri Aloni. He lives in Israel. I stay at his house in Tel Aviv every time I go there. I met him online when I was 18. We're still super good friends. And like, personally, he's never paid for any of my stuff, but he doesn't need it. But a lot of the people who followed me from that original Facebook page still follow me today and have become clients and have done inner circle stuff. It's like, and it just goes to show that finding the places where the people are and answering their questions real time, it's unbelievably valuable. And again, it's not with a pitch on the end of it or like asking for anything in return. It's just helping. I think a lot of people are very much on Instagram right now, which is great, but a lot of people are overlooking Facebook groups. And so we're going to teach you how to use Facebook and how to use Instagram for this, because there's a lot of things that people don't know about both platforms. But if you're not using Facebook groups for this specifically, you are missing out on a huge opportunity. And I'll tell you, I've done Susan Niebergall. I've been her business coach for well over a year now. And this is one of the things that she first started with. And she's gotten so many clients from this one Facebook group method. I can't even begin to tell you. Basically, Mike mentioned it before with ads, where it's like when you're doing an ad, you target the people specific. So like if you're doing more CrossFit stuff, you do CrossFit. If you're doing more bodybuilding, then bodybuilding. But so for example, if you go in Facebook, you go in the search bar and you type in kettlebell groups, there will be groups all around kettlebells. If you type in like SFG, it's a kettlebell certification, SFG kettlebells, you'll find groups that are just based around that. If you type in powerlifting, you'll find groups that are just based around powerlifting. Or type in women powerlifting, you'll find groups of women who are powerlifting. And a lot of them are open groups, a lot of them are closed groups. You can ask to join, they'll let you in. And like obviously, like if you're a dude, don't ask to join a women's powerlifting group. Like it's just stupid. So like don't do that. Like, but if you want to, if you're a woman and you're trying to get in a women's powerlifting group, or a man trying to get into a man's powerlifting group, or trying to get into a deadlift group or a kettlebell group or whatever, bodyweight training, calisthenics, whatever it is that you do, go in those groups and do not answer questions and put your website in there and here's my Instagram. Like that's not what you should do. You should become a part of the group. You should become a valued member of the group. And one thing that I recommend is, let's say someone posts a video of their deadlift or their kettlebell swing and like they're asking for advice. Go in and like, don't be like, well, I'm a coach and I did it. Like it's not the right way to go about it. I would, number one, be a friend to that person, like be encouraging.
Complimentary.
I would post a video of somebody else doing it properly. Be like, hey, so here's a video I found online of someone doing it, and if you notice their hips are a little bit higher, it might be helpful if you get your hips a little bit higher. And a lot of people are like, why would you post someone else's videos? And it's, people remember where they get good content from, not necessarily who is in the content, but where the content came from. And if they know that you're the one in there answering the question and providing them with the cues and the examples, that's what matters. Not to mention the moderators are going to be paying attention, looking for people who are trying to promote their own service. So if you go in there and post a video of somebody else and you're just providing helpful information, that doesn't raise a red flag to the moderators.
And
so
just to give them, to like ask you to get more clarification, you behave differently when helping someone in a random Facebook group than if someone emailed you directly.
Exactly, yep.
Because you don't want to come off as this like vulture who's trying to...
Exactly. So just hanging out in the groups. And by the way, don't just hang out in the group and answer questions. Introduce yourself. Be honest. Tell them about your struggles, what you're going through. Post a video of yourself doing something. Hey, I'm open to technique ideas. Here's what I'm working on. Here are my goals, whatever. Be a part of the group. Then they're going to friend request you. They're going to message you. They're going to find you on Instagram. And then they're going to be like, oh, you're a coach. That's awesome. Can you help me? It's like, you don't have to pretend not to be a coach, but you don't have to broadcast and say like, I'm a coach and I'm here to correct all of your shit. Like, just be a part of the group, and that's it. And that can be so helpful and so powerful, and you'll meet a lot of people, and then when they eventually start finding you and messaging you, like, they're going to trust you so much. You can also do this on Instagram. On Instagram, you can follow hashtags. So for example, if you're super into kettlebell stuff, you can follow kettlebells, kettlebell swings, SFG, RKC, kettlebell presses. You can follow any hashtag you want. Click the hashtag, then you will see all the most recent posts and all the most popular posts within that hashtag. You can go in there, and I'm not going to say if you see someone doing a kettlebell swing wrong, like don't go in and be like, well, that's really fucking bad. Or like even more obviously like, hey, maybe you want to do better with this and this and this. Like, rather, it's because on Instagram there's not really a group format. It's more just like you can find where all the posts are that are related to it. What might just be really good is to go into the posts and like, even if someone's technique isn't perfect, instead of the first exposure to them being like, hey, here's how you can fix it, just be like, hey, I love the effort, really good work. I'm I'm working on my kettlebell swings too. That's it. There's a saying in marketing that goes, sometimes you have to give people what they want in order for them to get what they need. And basically the way, in this scenario, the way I would use it is, a lot of coaches would be like, a lot of coaches say, well, how do you correct someone's technique in the gym if they're doing something wrong and you don't know them? You're just like, do you just walk up to them and say it? It's like, a lot of times people are going to be really put off by it. They get really defensive. It's the same thing online, maybe even worse. I think a lot of people are expecting to correct that person's technique in the first time they ever speak to them. They don't even know them. What if you went over to them the first time, you're like, hey, what's up? Awesome work, really good job. Like, my name's so-and-so, whatever. That's it. Then you see the next time, oh, hey, what's up? Good to see you again, da-da-da. Then like maybe the 5th time you end up talking to that person, you're like, hey, have you tried doing this with your deadlift? You're like, here, try that, just see how this works. Now you're a friendship, and now all of a sudden they can change it. Whereas if you tried it the first time, hey, let me try and change this, like, it wouldn't have worked. But because you built trust and relationship with them, the 5th time, when you actually said the same exact thing, it made a difference. Maybe you go in there, you comment on something, hey, awesome, I love the effort, I'm working on the same thing, keep it up. Nothing happens. Then like, you leave another comment, or maybe they see you commenting on someone else's post because they follow that same hashtag, then they click your profile, they see that you're a coach, whatever. Like, these are things that happen over time. Following a hashtag, being a nice person. And here's another thing, Instagram knows, like, they know a lot. Like, they're way smarter than people think. So if they see you following a certain hashtag, commenting and interacting and engaging a lot of people who also interact and follow this hashtag, you will start to pop up on the explore page of these people because they know that they have a lot of the same interests. So the more you interact with them, the more they're likely to see you pop up on their explore page. And maybe if you make a technique video for kettlebell stuff and then you hashtag all the right kettlebell things like I explained in the Instagram growth guide that you should all have read by now, then they're more likely to see it and gain more trust. So these are all things that you can do where you can, it's based around being helpful and interacting and just being a nice person rather than trying to sell something that eventually they'll come to you and they'll ask you about your coaching. And that's really what Mike and I think we do better than basically anybody else in the fitness industry, is we are better than anybody at getting people to ask us about our coaching and to inquire about our coaching rather than us shoving it down people's throats. And if you can do that, if your method of trying to sell is by like hard selling all the time, then you're essentially almost always trying to convince people to sign on. Whereas if you can have a business based around people trying to convince you that they should be your client, it's a way better conversion rate, and it's just, you don't have to always try to be selling. You can just, you know what I mean?
Make content that helps people.
Exactly.
People will like more than pitches. Something that came to mind, this is fairly off topic, but think about that same mentality of not just overtly, some people interpret it as criticizing, but like overtly form correcting, even with your clients, even clients who send form videos, like especially those who I don't know as well, we're early on in the coaching relationship, like hitting them with a compliment or 2 or 3 compliments followed by like what needs to be changed and finishing with a compliment.
It's called the compliment sandwich.
Like it's really useful in making clients feel good, in obviously making sure they're correcting what needs to be corrective so that they're performing the move safely and that it will be effective in the future. But like certain types of people are more sensitive to criticism, and if they interpret something wrong, they might be less likely to send form videos in the future, which is going to lead to suboptimal progress for them, obviously. But like taking that mindset and applying it to coaching clients too is important.
What I want to leave off with in this section is that if you are not getting coaching applications, if you are wanting more coaching clients but you don't have them, but you are not spending time in Facebook groups and or on Instagram hashtags every single day, then you have not earned the right to be frustrated that you are not getting coaching clients or coaching applications. It is as simple, and I would start on Facebook because like this is something I've done with a lot of people and it's worked well every time people have done it. You go to Facebook, you go in the search bar, you type in whatever specific type of a group that you want to be involved in, and you get involved in 1, 2, 3 of those groups, and you spend at least an hour a day in those groups every day, you'll get coaching applications. That is a fucking fact. Anytime you have downtime, I don't know what content to post, I don't know what to be doing, you'll get a lot of ideas for content from those groups, and you will develop relationships with people who will become clients. That is a guarantee.
In addition to hashtags on Instagram, big pages like fitness type celebrities who aren't in their own comments doing work. If they're not in the comments, because that's going to piss off the person whose page it is, going in and DMing the person who asked the question and just saying like, hey, saw your question here, like, have you thought of this or this, or this might help. Hope you have a great day. Bye. No expectation, no pitch, no linking, but like just a source of people who need what you have to offer in real time.
One thing that you can do related to that, and this is important, if you see someone who is commenting on a really big page with a lot of comments and their question wasn't answered, click on that person and DM them. Like DM them the answer. Hey, I saw you asked this question on so-and-so's page, and I figured I'd just reach out via DM and give you my thoughts on the topic. And then you could either like just write it out for them, or you could even send them a video. Like, number one, here's what I would do. If you do the video, so let's say they don't follow you, it's gonna go in their request thing, so they're gonna be in like a little bit skeptical. Don't only send them a video, because all they're gonna see is a video from someone, and they're like, that's fucking weird. So if you're gonna do the video, what I would do is I would send the video first, and then write, hey, I saw you asked so-and-so, I saw you ask this question on so-and-so's page, so I recorded a quick video breaking down my thoughts for you. Because that's what they're going to see in the preview of the message, is you're the last thing that you sent them. So if all they see is like so-and-so sent a video, maybe they're not even going to open it. But like if they see, hey, I saw you ask this question on someone's page, then they're more likely to watch the video. Super helpful. Then they go to your page. Like, and don't say, oh, and go follow me, please. Or like, no, just like be super helpful. Send that video. Like, again, there's no reason to feel like you have nothing to do. If you feel like you have nothing to do, go join a Facebook page and comment and help. If you feel like you have nothing to do, go to a big page that you follow and like look through the comments section and find someone that you can help and go DM them. Like, there is always something to be doing and always someone to be helping, always. Like, go to a YouTube channel and go comment on people's stuff there. Like, there's a ton of questions people have on YouTube that aren't answered. Like, a ton. There's always someone to be helping, always.
The last one we have is really, super similar to coaching for free, just offering other types of help for free. Like Jordan's talked about random phone calls with Instagram followers, giving away Skype sessions, giving away a consult, which is less of a commitment than free coaching, but the same concept. Like deep, a lot of help for one person who's likely going to be very appreciative of that. Yeah,
I think, and this is something, it's very easy to like hear an example and then only think that's one way to do it. Again, this is your business and you make the rules. And I think the better you get at anything, obviously the more creative and the more you So for example, like when you first start working out, someone will teach you a way to deadlift, and in your mind, like, that is the only way to deadlift. Like, that is it. But the better you get at deadlifting, the more, okay, well, cool, like, maybe I can, like, try it this way, or I can try it that way, or I can try it with my hips a little bit higher, lower, or grip like this, or I can do it with my stance a little bit, like, offset. You realize that you're not limited to only a certain way of doing things, and that you can really plug and play. And so with the things like giving coaching options for free, or for like doing giveaways or prizes or whatever, we'll give you examples like, hey, like go in the comment section and give something away, like give coaching away for free. But the more you do it, the more you'll learn, oh, cool, like, you know what else I could do is I could go in my story and I could say, like, this literally making this off the top of my head, I could go in my story and I could say, like, the first 5 people to reply to this story with their favorite cereal, I'm gonna give their macros to them for free. It's like, I just made that shit up off the top of my head, but it's like, there's no wrong way to do it. Like, try it, test it. Try shit all the time. There's no wrong way to do it, especially if the intent is good. If the intent is like, if you're giving stuff away for free, it's great. Like, try shit. If it doesn't work, cool. Most of the stuff you're gonna try won't work. That's awesome. Keep going, because you never know what one thing you try will explode. And again, it's like 20% of the things you do will drive 80% of the results. 20% of your clients will drive 80% of your business. Like, it's the small things that really do the absolute most.
And you don't know what those are going to be, so like a
Try.
thought that came into my mind when you were getting into that, and like that energy was making mistakes by being too aggressive compared to making mistakes by being too passive. Like, mistakes of aggression are always going to pay off better in the long run.
For sure. And now we're going to talk about how to convert clients, right?
That's what we're talking about.
I'm going to get water really quick, so we're going to pause the video.
Okay. So in converting...
Welcome to...
What's up, team? Welcome to the video.
Today we're going to talk about how to get clients without working at all.
Jordan, take it away.
I learned from...
2 things in converting. One will be a little bit quicker, and one is we're going to talk about the sales process. So let's do the quicker one first, which is how much to charge for online coaching. I'll start because I think you have more to say on the phone and like video calls for closing. I think a lot of coaches think they might be charging the wrong amount, they might be charging too much, they might be charging too little in comparison to your peers, when really it's good to have an idea of what like the market is for online coaching and for a similar set of services that you offer, just so you know where you stand. But like, there's no right or wrong, and the number of clients you have, the amount of time you have, the number of in-person clients you have, your need for money, all of those things tie into how much you should be charging for coaching, as well as like just what feels right in your gut. Because every single coach thinks this. They think that when they raise prices, that no one's going to pay for that next amount. Like,
I just had someone say that to me today.
It's like, no one's going to pay for this. You bump it $50 from like $149 to $199, whatever. It's like, no one's going to pay this. No one's going to pay this. And people pay it. And like, people pay it at the next jump and the next jump and the next jump. So for me personally, there's a cap on what felt right. And like, I was charging $349 a month that maybe like 2 years ago for the first time. I felt good about it. And then I was charging $397, or like, I think I was testing even in the $499 at one point, and that didn't feel great. So I brought prices back down. But in addition to those other factors, what feels right to you should lead you in determining your prices. Now, the average market rate for one-on-one online coaching is probably between $200 and $400 a month for the set of services that we offer: program design, and communication with your clients. Early on, there's so much value in the coaching experience that isn't monetary, right? That is having more programs designed of different variety for different client types, that is going to make future program design easier for you. Like, that's an asset that isn't getting money, that you're going to more quickly build if your prices are a little bit lower. experienced coaching clients, getting testimonials, like all these benefits that come with coaching for free also come with coaching for a little bit lower price, which means if you don't have any online clients, or maybe just have a couple online clients, and you feel your services are worth $300 a month, and they very well could be worth $300 a month, and you might, like, that might be less than people who you feel you're better than and that you're right, you still possibly shouldn't charge $300 a month and should charge $199 or $149 as like a base rate, because you're going to gain so much from getting that first, second, third, seventh, eighth, ninth client. So that was a little bit of a ramble, but those are all things to consider when setting your prices.
Yeah, so I mean, that basically covers everything. I will reiterate again, it's your business, you make the rules. And it's really important to remember. I think a lot of people get really nervous and really concerned about raising their prices, about charging the right amount. It's like, the right amount is whatever you're charging. And also the right amount is whatever people are signing up for. If you think you deserve to be charging $300, $400 a month, but no one's signing on for it, then you do not deserve to be charging that much, period.
And by the way, you need a sample size to know that people aren't signing on for it, because you're going to talk about the best way to close or convert,
right.
But for email conversions, most people are in the like 8 to 15% window, which means about 1 in 10, maybe 1 out of 9 people who apply for coaching are actually going to be clients. So if you're charging $300 and you've had 6 people apply and none of them signed up, that doesn't necessarily mean that $300 is too much.
Correct. That being said, if you are really hurting for clients and you have $300 or $400 as the actual cost, and you really want that extra client, it might be worthwhile to be like, you know what, I'm going to charge $25 a month so that I'm way more likely to get all of these clients than being like, okay, well, I'm going to charge more and get none of them, right? It's like, with every time with cost is one barrier of many barriers. And when you need more clients, then you want to remove that barrier as much as possible so that like eventually that you'll get so many requests that you can have a higher price point. And if you don't get all of them on, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not a problem. Like, it's okay.
Jordan, what about the business coach who said that if I only charge $99 a month or $49 a month, then other people wouldn't sign up for me because it shows that I don't believe in myself?
Yeah, that's stupid. It's not true. It's just not true. Like, it's just not. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not.
Like, there's basic microeconomics at play here, and the lower your prices, the more people who will sign on.
Yeah.
Like, that's a pretty true curve.
And you also might have more people, like, there might be more people who won't actually follow the program. Like, that might happen. Like, but
Planet Fitness model.
But you'll also have more opportunities to really be involved with people. Like, when I was doing a lot more free coaching or really discounted coaching, I had more people who didn't follow through, but I also spent more time on the phone and more time directly interacting with people who did. So I got a lot of testimonials out of it and a lot of really good value, and it built up a lot of stuff on my back end because I was spending so much time with more people, and that built really good relationships and got more success from out of it. So it's like, yeah, you might have more people not follow through, but you also have more opportunities to help people follow through. So there's a lot of benefit that comes with it.
That back end experience is invaluable. Like, and it might not even, like, you might not even fully be able to see it, but once you have 20 clients or 30 clients or 37 clients or wherever in the future, having designed hundreds of programs, having written out super detailed answers to very common questions that people ask, that saves you so much future time, which, one, makes you a better coach in the future, 2, increases your future hourly. Like, having more clients early on is just very valuable.
In regard to charging and I think Mike answered that question of how much you should charge really well. I do think there's something to be said for how you pitch your price, and there's something to be said for example, let's say you charge $200 a month. If you say you charge $200 a month, that's one thing. It's another thing to say I charge $50 a week paid month to month. Same exact total price, but it allows them to see the value better. And so the reason I phrase it that way is because if you say $200 a month, people just say, wow, like that's a lot of money, or $300 a month. $300 a month is a lot of money, like when you're only thinking about the monthly cost. But if you're like, hey, so it's gonna, like every week you're gonna you talk to me every day, 7 days a week or whatever, 5 days a week. You get a new program, you get this, you get the nutrition course, you get all this stuff. And we're gonna discuss all that type of stuff with you. But you get all this, and it's $75 a week. Keeping in mind that one session with an in-person personal trainer is often between 75 to 150 an hour, depending on where you go and who you work with. And my program is $75 per week, paid month to month. So now they have that perspective to understand 1 hour session with someone is going to be at least $75, and I'm getting an entire week's worth of coaching for $75. So that would be a $300 a month coaching package, but now they can see like, oh wow, like they understand the value of it better. So that's why when I have in my coaching prices, I always show them the weekly value rather than the month, because it's easier for them to break down, and then it's also easier for them to budget that way, just very quickly. It's easier to budget and understand, okay, $75 a week, so spending X amount on groceries, like, okay, maybe I could it's a quick way to be like, okay, I see that value. Whereas like $300 a month, like, oh shit, like that can be a lot for some people. So when you're pitching, I would very much encourage you, rather than like, hey, it's only like this amount, 100 a month, 300 a month, 400, whatever it is, $75 a week, $60 a week, $50 a week, and then you say like paid month to month. And it's very straightforward. It's not scammy or skeezy. It's just another way for them to understand. And then if they say, wait, so it's $75 a week, that's $300 a month? Yes, exactly. Cool. And you're just straightforward about it. It's just, for me, a really easy way so that they can see the value a little bit better. And making sure you make that comparison of like, keep in mind, like, why do I charge this much? Because, well, if you want one in-person session with any coach for an hour, it's going to be about $75 to $100, $130, $150 an hour, depending on who you work with. And I want everybody to be able to afford coaching. So for me, I charge $75 per week for all of that, included training, nutrition, communication, and that. And that perspective helps people understand why your coaching is charging, why you're charging what you're charging. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So now, do you want to talk about the Skype calls and everything?
The only thing I'm going to tack on to the end of that, which is slightly off topic, but it's a question I've seen a couple times, is how exactly, like technically, to charge or to bill people. We both use PayPal's recurred billing. So when you have someone set up a recurred billing on PayPal, they're going to be automatically charged on the same day each month. It's a subscription is what it's called on PayPal. So rather than like emailing someone every single month and asking or sending a Venmo request or whatever, like it completely takes that off the table. You will know that you are receiving your monthly payments from all your clients, and then like the onus is on, it's not on you to collect each time, it's automatically happening, and you'll get an email notification if that like subscription is canceled. I'm
glad you brought that up, because I didn't start doing recurring payments, I think it was until 2015. And what would happen is basically I had a big list of my clients separated in 4 groups. And just like, this is all like on like my Word draft or an email draft, like what group of client needs new programs that week. And before I had recurring payments, I would then have to send an email to each individual client every 4th week being like, hey, I need you, like, here's your invoice to renew this month to get coaching. And then obviously some people would sign up, then I'd have to be chasing some people. Hey, I haven't heard back from you. And then like, then sometimes people like wouldn't get their program because they didn't pay the invoice yet, and then they'd be like, hey, where's my program? I'd be like, hey, you didn't send your invoice in yet. It creates a lot more time. And then basically what you have to, every month you have to resell people, and they have to reconvince themselves that they have to sign up. It's a lot easier if from the very beginning you send them, hey, click here to go to set up your recurring statement. Boom, they go in and it goes. And then when they say, hey, like, I think it's time to cancel, or I'm good to go, or I need to take a little break, cool. Say, hey, go to your PayPal, cancel your recurring payment, and you're good to go. And if you're like, oh man, how do I set up a recurring bill, or a recurring button on PayPal? Go to Google and type in how to create a recurring payment button on PayPal, and they give you step-by-step instructions on how to set it up. And you can make one for $50 a month, one for $100 a month, one for $200 a month. I have an entire draft in an email made up going from literally like $20 a month all the way up to $1,000 a month, just like with all of them in there. So if I am going to change prices or do something, which I'll mention in a second, then I can just go in, copy and paste it, put it into an email, and we're good to go. Which brings up a point. Your business, your rules. If you're working with someone and someone like you think, you know what, like I want to work with this person, I think they're going to be really good, you can tell them that you're going to charge like this amount, and it might be less than usual. And if someone writes you really long emails and like they're really like sending you a lot of information, like it might be in your mind like, wow, this might be a little bit more time investment, and you're going to charge them more, then feel free to tell them your prices are more. And if someone is like, well, hey, like I thought you were charging this amount, again, that was then, like my new rates are this, and like that's okay.
And
it's your business.
Very few people, I mean, from a referral, yes, and just my rates have gone up over time, but very few people are going to be like.
I can literally count on one hand how many times someone has said that to me. Probably count on two fingers. Yeah, like it has almost never happens. In terms of actually converting clients, like and during the pitch, like Mike said, and I very much agree. I've seen the same exact thing. When you are trying to convert via email, like you have a pitch written out in an email, about 1 in 10 people, and that's like with good sales copy. That's like with well-written copy, with like an understanding of how to structure it, 1 in 10 people will convert when you have like a relatively high price point. When I don't do this anymore, but when I was converting people on a phone call or on a Skype call, conversions were like honestly with you, like 8 out of 10. I think I'm very good at having a good phone conversation with people.
Coming off of a paid Skype.
That's a good point. Thank you. What would happen is people would apply, and we'd go through the application process.
I still think you're a great closer.
Thank you. So here's what would happen. People would apply to coaching, and I would send them my response email being like, hey, thanks for applying. Do me a favor. What's your main goal, and also what is the biggest obstacle keeping you from achieving it? The goal is important. The obstacle is the most important, because everybody tends to have the same goals, whether it's lose fat, get stronger, get out of pain, feel better. Those tend to be the main goals people have: aesthetic-based, athletic-based, or pain-based. The obstacle will change per person. Maybe it's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's patience, maybe it's an unhealthy relationship with food, maybe it's like they don't know what to do, maybe it's any other option. But whatever their obstacle is, that's how you know how to speak with that person, because the obstacles are what they need from you. That's you fill the gap of their obstacle. So then they reply, cool, so they send that. After they sent that, then I'd be like, okay, cool. If I thought they were a good fit, be like, hey, feel like we're a good fit for coaching. Now I'd love to hop on the phone with you. First, the phone calls were free. I'd be like, let's hop on the phone, see if we're a good fit for coaching. After a period of time, I would charge them. I'd say a phone call is $45 for an hour, see if we're a good fit. And basically, that $45 became another, like every step was another barrier. You have to realize every time you add a step, it's another barrier they have to cross. So first email, hey, send me the obstacle and the goal and the obstacle. Cool. Then the next email, hey, let's hop on the phone call. That's another barrier. Hey, let's hop on the phone call. Here, I'm charging. That's another barrier. And all of these things, you're weeding people out who weren't going to do it anyway. So let's say you get to the point where you're finally charging. It's $45. It's not that much, but it's basically just my way of making sure they've got skin in the game and they're serious about it. So by the time they get on the phone with me, spending $45 for a phone call, they're pretty serious about it. Then we get on the phone, and The first thing I would ask, this is how I would start the phone call. And I had several conversations recently with business coaching clients about this who weren't closing as well as they could have. They were closing maybe like 3 out of 10 on a phone call instead of 7 or 8 out of 10. Basically, they would get on the phone call and they'd be like almost immediately just talking about their coaching, or they would be doing most of the talking. When I get on the phone with someone, it's but 80% them talking, 20% me talking. And the first bit is me, hey, like, before we talk about fitness, before we talk about why, whenever I like mimic a phone call, I always do this as if like you don't fucking know I'm on the phone. I have to like put the fake fucking phone up. But like, before we talk about fitness, before we talk about whatever, just tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Well, like, what do you do for work? Do you have kids? Do you have like a husband or a wife or a partner or whatever? Like, and have a conversation. Get to know them. Like, as they're talking, like, well, do you like what you do? Da, da, da. Like, what annoys you? Like, get to know them. And I want to be very specific about this. I don't like small talk. Even just the phrase small talk implies that you don't really care about it. I'm telling you this because have a conversation in which you actually care about what they're talking about. Get invested, learn about them. It's not small talk because the whole point of small talk is to get to what you actually care about. This is not that. A lot of my calls, 45 minutes would be just shooting the shit, getting to know them, so that by the end of the call, they felt unbelievably comfortable with me. In the last maybe 15 minutes, we're talking about the program. The majority of the call is just getting a really good relationship with them. And then from there, after they've spent a lot of time talking about themselves and you get to know them better, then either they would be like, hey, so like, let's talk about this, or you can be like, hey, so like, do you have any questions about the program? Is there anything that I can answer for you? Give them that opportunity. Then they can be like, well, they could either ask the questions they have right off the bat, or they could be like, honestly, no, like, tell me about it. And then you could be like, cool. I would say, awesome, here's what I'll do. First, I'm gonna go over the nutrition portion, then I'm gonna go over the training portion, and then from there, see if you have any questions, and we'll talk about it. So you briefly outline your program. Realistically, it shouldn't take you more than 3 to 5 minutes at all. Like, keeping in mind what their biggest obstacle was, right? If like, and I know you said in your emails that your biggest obstacle is accountability. So, like, basically, the way that it works in my program is you and I email back and forth every day, every single day. I want to make sure that you know I am here for you. I'm going to make sure that you always know that I've got your back. That if you are like not feeling motivated, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be responding to your emails. I'm going to be on you, like making sure you're up to, like, you're following your program. If someone says my obstacle is knowing what to do, I don't know what to do, then hey, with my program, there is no guesswork. You will never question what you have to do anymore. I'm going to give you your nutrition guidelines, exactly how many calories you should be eating. I'm going to give you your workout programs, exactly what exercises to do, how many sets and reps, videos showing you the exercise technique. If you have any questions, you email me. Now, you attack the exact obstacle that they give you rather than just guessing and like saying like, because everyone has a different obstacle. And then at the end of like explaining the program, do you have any more questions? This gives them the opportunity to ask about price or anything else. And if they're like, nope, that's pretty much it, then be like, okay, so I'm assuming you want to know how much this costs. You're not just willing to sign up for like $1 million a month, whatever, make a joke, whatever. Yeah, price, obviously. Cool. So the way my coaching works, just like I said, is we'll use the $75 a week. The way my coaching works is I require a minimum 6-month commitment. Reason being, I actually want to spend time with people, get to know them, develop a relationship, and it takes a lot of time to actually make results. So it's a minimum 6-month commitment for $75 a week, paid month to month. I'll interject right now and say you do not have to have a minimum 6-month commitment. I started off without having that, but it is worth saying I do not recommend saying it's a 12-week program or a 16-week program, because when you get to the end of that 12 weeks, that's basically they're like, okay, so it's over. You want to leave coaching as more of an open-ended thing that like allows them to continue until they decide they don't want to continue anymore. So you don't want to have to continue to sell them at the end of 12 weeks or 16 weeks. It's like you could say, hey, it's a minimum 1 month commitment. If at the end of 1 month you don't want to work with me anymore, great. If at the end of 1 month you think I'm an asshole, you never want to talk to me again, awesome. I literally would say this. If at the end of 1 month you think I'm awesome, you want to be best friends, grab a beer with me, like slap me in the ass, like, hey, what's up, cool, awesome, you can do that too.
You never had a 1 month commitment, did you?
No, I didn't. But like,
Was 3 your low? I get it. I'm just
well, first there was no, there. I just didn't offer that. The first thing I said, I had a 12-month package, and then enough people were like, hey, not 12-month. I had a 90-day package, 3-month package, and at the end of it, be like, okay, well, it's done, and I'd be like, fuck, like.
Yeah, switching the language to minimum commitment,
right,
regardless of what the length is.
So instead of 90-day package, it became, because at the end of the 90 days, then they were like, it was either like re-up for another 90 days or done. And so then it was like, cool, it's a minimum 3-month commitment. And if at the end of 3 months you want to keep going, awesome. If at the end of 3 months you want to cancel, cool too. And so having that was a great way to encourage longer term, and it worked up to 6 months. I did eventually work up to a year, but in the same way that like I also I sold programs for $1,000 a month. It didn't feel good. I didn't like it. I did that on the advice of other coaches or other business coaches and quickly stopped it because I didn't like that. Could I sell for $1,000 a month? Yes. Did I think it was that valuable? No.
When did you test 1,000 a month?
Between 2014 and 2015.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I sold a number of programs for $1,000 a month, $800 a month, $750 a month, and it never felt good. So for me, between $300 to $400 a month is really a sweet spot, not only for where I felt good, but for where people could actually stay on for the longest amount of time. You might be able to sell someone for $1,000 a month, but maybe they'll quit in 2 months or 3 months. Whereas like for $300 a month, $400 a month, have people stay on for 3, 4, 5 years. So for me, that's way more valuable.
Yeah, and that is where like the long tail of the minimum commitment is it becomes recurring revenue, and the clients who stay on past the minimum commitment often end up being your best clients.
Exactly.
Like, obviously not always, but like the best people, the like quote unquote easiest clients, like
you're friends with them, like
you like the relationship gets deeper and deeper over time.
Let's say you get sick and like you can't answer emails, you're not like they understand.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be like, where's my email? Well, like they get it.
You've proven yourself for how long?
Exactly.
When something like that happens.
So for the pitch, and more than happy to go over a more in-depth pitch when we do the Q&A if you'd like. I feel like that was pretty in-depth, but we can go more in-depth with specific questions and specific things that you might want to know about when we're going to do the Q&A for this. But if you want to convert more clients, get them on the phone. And by the way, it doesn't even have to go for people who are applying to coaching. It could just be like, let's say you see someone commenting on a lot of your Instagram posts. You could just send them a DM. Hey, like, I see you commenting. I really appreciate it. I'd love to hop on the phone with you. I'd love to, like, if I could help you in any way, or I saw you comment, like, well, how do you find out, like, how many calories you're supposed to eat? I'd love to hop on the phone and literally, number one, give you your calorie and macro guidelines and explain how to do it step by step. Now you're on the phone with them. And so getting on the phone with more people is more valuable until you can't do it anymore. And keeping in mind, I feel like a lot of people will probably think in their mind they can't do it because they don't have the time. If you value it, just like you'll tell your clients, if you value it, you'll make the time. And I guarantee you, when you see the response and how many more people will sign up for your coaching when you get on the phone with them, you'll start to value it more because it's going to lead to more conversions. That is for sure. Not to mention, it just feels good. It just feels really good.
And the point where it doesn't make sense to be on the phone will come like it did for you. I never did phone calls because I don't know why. I just like learned the email way and it worked, and like that's what I did. I didn't even think that there was a way to convert better. But you got to the point where, and you're past it now, but like you couldn't accept 8 out of 10 coaching applications because your program would be capped. So not only is it a time issue, meaning spending a few minutes to write an email versus an hour on the phone, like doing phone calls doesn't make sense because you can't accept that many clients at this point.
Exactly. And here's actually a really important story. I was doing phone consults for new clients when I started working with Gary and even a little bit into it, but soon after starting work with Gary, my time availability went down. Not just actual time, but also mental energy, emotional energy. Like I didn't have, like when you're getting on a phone call for 60 minutes, like it takes a lot of time and energy. And I remember having a conversation with Mike because I knew that he only did email. I was super nervous because from 2011 until late 2016, I had always done phone calls. That's just all I'd done. And I was like, so you only do email pitches? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, how well does that convert? And he was like, yeah, about 1 out of 10. And immediately I was like, what, 1 out of 10? I convert 8 out of 10. Keeping in mind, I was doing a phone call with people who'd already paid me $45. It was a very different scenario. But like, point being, I was really nervous to make that change. I was very nervous to make that change. But I'm really glad I did. Because if I bet you if I didn't make that change, I don't know if we would be doing this right now.
3,000 clients.
Well, I would be burned out. I'd be upset. I wouldn't like coaching as much. It wouldn't be feasible to do what I do if I was spending that much time doing that. So if you're nervous to raise your prices, if you're nervous to try something new, it's good. It's a good thing to be nervous. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just means that you're about to try something and push past your comfort zone, and that's a good thing. And so don't ever let your nerves prevent you from trying it.
Well said.
Is there anything else you want to cover on that?
No, I don't think so, actually. I think if people are interested in hearing more in depth on the phone stuff, like, let us know, because that's something we can dive deeper on in future stuff or in Q&As. Yeah, that's it on converting.
I think we have 2 hours, more than 2 hours at this point? We have over 2 hours of how to get and convert more coaching clients. We hope this was helpful. We are going to, depending on when you're watching this, we're going to do the first live Q&A this coming week. So it's going to be next week, in which we hope you can make it. And we're going to announce the day and time well ahead of time so you have time to plan for it. We're going to answer all your questions live, there for you 100%. So you get whatever questions you have on this course or anything, it's 100% for you. So whatever questions you have.
And there'll be another live Q&A 2 weeks after.
Correct. So every month, 2 live Q&As and the course. So any questions, take notes, write them down, bring them with you to the live. The live will be saved on the Facebook page. And yeah, I mean, we're fucking stoked. We love seeing the group already super interactive. We love seeing the Instagram posts taking action on what we've said. So we're excited to see how you plan to take action on this. And that's it. That's it. Any questions, let us know. We're always here for you. And let's crush it.
Let's do it.